All right. A very good morning. Let's. I will be joining the Star Radio UK in just about a few minutes, and that means there will be some bit of excuse me. There's quite a lot as a media. We are running a parallel event this morning. We're back on the Star Radio UK network. So if you're one of those that are still listening and you're not on YouTube, you might probably not see what is going on at the moment. We're still waiting for the convention to kick back from the venue. At the moment, they are not back in the venue, and that means that I believe they might be coming after lunchtime. So what I'm going to be doing is that what we are watching from this end is only about a few more minutes. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to switch to the Star Radio. Sorry for those of you. I need to also let those that are watching us on the thread. A very good morning to those of you that are watching me on the thread. We are switching to the Star Radio UK for now. The event here has ended, and that means we need to switch to Star Radio UK, where I will be delivering my work this morning. And then later on, we go back to the convention. I believe they are not going to be back until after the lunchtime. So whatever we're watching here now is already, it's bitterly cold down there. Kudos to everyone that have turned up in that very bitter cold in Finland. But right now, we are switching situation to the Star Radio UK, where I will be speaking to the team this morning. I've been away for a couple of days, but we are back there. So that means that whatever you're watching now, for the next 40 minutes, will be coming from here. So you can still stay tuned with us. And but like I said, there is no signal coming from Finland. As you can tell, these are the Finland media team. Okay, I guess they're back. Okay, I think they're back in Finland. If they're back, that would be great. I think I'm just picking a signal from Finland. All right, bear with us now. All right, it looks like they're back in Finland, but nothing is happening at the moment. This is the day, I believe day 5, yeah. So rather than not having any audio coming out, I'm not hearing anything coming out. Okay, might be from my end. 1 minute, bear with me.
We're going to take a quick break. We come back, and I tell you, we're going to be having this OLAYOMI KOIKI coming your way.
All right, so that means we will leave this like that. That is good. Let's take some of these images out, because when I start the Star Radio, I will not be able to do any adjustment. Those of you on the Twitter space and Twitter, what you'll be hearing will be the Star Radio, and you will not be hearing anything from the venue. So there's not much I can do to that right now. Let's adjust things. Let's go back to, so as soon as I finish the Star Radio, I will release the audio from here. So that is what is going to happen. So let's take this out. Let's adjust things here, because I gotta be on the studio right now. We're 3 minutes behind schedule. Literally 3 minutes behind schedule. Let's remove this. Yeah. So I'm gonna take the audio down here. Mic check. Let's see what's going on there. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Yeah, that's good. So okay, let's start this. I didn't start that earlier. I didn't realize that. All right, that's fine. I think I can take you back to Finland while I join the studio. So I think we're good to go. Everything is all set here. But those of you here watching me on the Twitter, you'll be seeing the picture, but you will not hear the sound. So sorry about that. We're gonna go now. Yeah. So I need to note this down. So this is going to be interfering to my broadcast. Sorry about that, my Biafrans. I need to be in the studio, and it might take a couple of times. So, but for now, if you want to stay with me there, that's fine. If otherwise, we need to move to the studio from here as well. So I gotta be on the Star Radio from here. So thank you so much, everyone that have joined us. Let's enjoy the Star Radio. Those of you on the space, bear with me. Like I said, it will take about 40 minutes to clear the Star Radio. Then we'll be going back to Finland. So I'll be talking more about what is happening in Finland. So at least it's still good for us because that's what journalists do. We're going to be reporting everything that is happening in Finland, where other media, the Zoom media are not reporting. Trust me, Star Radio will be reporting it this morning. So let's join the studio. I'm 5 minutes behind schedule. Thank you so much. Bear with us. That's why we need a bigger studio so that we can operate. When we say donate, we want a bigger studio so nobody will be interfering with each other. I need to be sure that we're good to go. So that is the situation from here. So let's join the studio.
I think we'll pause that music until we have finished with the updates there, and then we'll go on. But let me just go straight. Mr. OLAYOMI KOIKI, who has joined in. And let me say, Yummy, good morning.
Well, a very good morning to you back in the studio, Mr. Archie. Good morning to all our listeners and viewers. It's a very busy week. I know I've been out of the picture for like a couple of days. We've been talking behind the scene, but quite a lot we will still catch up with. It is still a lot is happening, but it's great to be back with you, Mr. Archie. And thanks for holding on to the team while the other team are busy in the background doing what we need to do. But we are back here. I'm not in Finland, but I can tell you that we are currently also in Finland, the Star Radio UK network, and I'll be telling you everything everybody needs to know. But let's come back home first because Nigeria, like you said, is going through a lot right now. But I come back again to you, Mr. Archie, and I say good morning to all the producers and all those that are listening. And I can tell you thousands of people are listening from around the world on the Star Radio UK network this morning.
Okay. How are you? How is the family? And how was the time away?
Well, I believe I sent you a message on Thursday that I will be taking a couple of days off because of the project that we are doing behind. Then I'll be back on Monday, but I didn't realize that, I think I must have messed up my timing, that we were back on air yesterday. I thought we were off. But again, while I was away, I know a lot of things happened simultaneously on the Thursday when, Simon Epa, we're going to be talking about that. Then the Friday where things also took place. And today is the third day, but the fifth day for the convention and the restoration of the Biafra that is taking place. The President Bola Tinubu as well was in France. He's currently in South Africa as I speak to you right now. The central bank was in London talking about, some kind of event. I'll be telling you more about that as well. So quite a lot of activities has been happening around Nigeria. And I believe a lot of people want us to talk about this. And that is where we're here again this morning, where we're going to be cracking on. But the family are doing very well. But it's great to be back with you in the studio, Mr. Archie. And I say very good morning once again to everyone that have joined us.
Yes, listeners, Mr. OLAYOMI KOIKI in our North London studios. I'm right here in the South studios, and we're bringing you updates from Nigeria. So let's crack on. We'll come to some on and some of the issues there. But let's look at the we'll talk about the the payment where government entities were paying the salaries, but some of them workers shut down 4 states over new minimum wage. Now, what is happening in these states where Kaduna, Nasarawa, and others? Why are they protesting? Is it that the governments in the governments in those particular states are not able to pay the 70,000, or are they saying that they have back pay from them?
Well, if you remember, when this government came in, there was a lot of tussle between the federal government and the Nigerian Labour Congress. Remember that there was a lot of meetings that was being held, to stop, as many of the strike that was going to take place. But a year or almost 18 months into this government, it seems that the minimum wage has not yet been resolved. And that means that many states are still not able to pay the 70,000 minimum wage that was agreed. But as you said, it seems that the implementation of the minimum wage is the reason why this morning we are getting report from Nigeria that Kaduna, Nasarawa, Ebonyi, Cross River over non-implementation of the minimum wage. That is 70,500. I might try to give a conversion to what that is in dollars and pounds so that for the benefit of our listeners around the world. But the reason why this is happening, again, is the implementation. So workers in that particular state that I've mentioned, yesterday have now commenced a 1-week warning. It's still a warning strike to demand the implementation of the new national minimum wage and the consequential adjustment. Well, who are those behind these? Comrade Oko emphasized workers' readiness to strike if the government does not act. Strike is part of the government. Strike is part of anything that happens around the world. But if you're not paying the workers, that means they will be shut down. It is still something that can be amended, but whether that can be done as quickly as possible. The NLC is Affiliated Trade Union Congress, TUC, cited the government failure to implement the wage adjustment despite paying 72,000 minimum gross salary. I come back again to you in the studio, Mr. Archie.
Now, again, you're going to be, trying to get a convention in dollars and pounds for us to know exactly what we are talking about, so that our listeners, and those of us who don't get when we're talking about African currency and how much it is, they will get it. But the question that it seems to be bothering me is that the states, it's not all the states that will be capable to pay or paying these monies to their people. So what are those states doing?
Well, it has always been the problem. Many of the states are crippled. Many of them does not even have anything, to work with. They rely on the federal executive allocation on a monthly basis. We're going to be talking about a little bit of the tax reform that the presidency is trying to work on, because a lot of people are not comfortable with that, especially those in the northern part of the country. That means that, most of the 36 states will not be able at any point to be able. I mean, we're not talking about Rivers State that have the kind of the revenue. We're not talking about Lagos State and probably maybe one or two other states. But there are some states that will struggle, to pay that 70,000 minimum wage. And the reason for that is, for a very long time, they've relied so much on the fake allocation. There's nothing coming out of those states. And sometimes Nigerians have asked is, what is the essence of all these big states that we have across the country when they are as not, I had to hold on back to the word I wanted to put out there. But one thing is, most of the states are not capable, to pay that minimum wage. And that is the reason why, we've had them for too long struggling. And like I said, when we look at the exchange rate, which is about 2,200, depending on where you're changing your money from this morning, it is not up to 35 pounds that we're talking about here. But again, we're looking at it from the currency back home. So the 35 pounds this morning is what we are looking at, which is approximately about, again, less than almost 20 something dollars.
Now, interestingly, let's do some arithmetic here. Now, if somebody gets 70,000 naira, how much rent are they going to pay?
Well, again, inflation in Nigeria is quite high right now. Let me give you one of our team that, I mean, this is somewhere in Ogun State, and this is self-contained. It's self-contained with the agreement is, it's 60,000. And if you look at the minimum wage with 70,000, so the self-contained is 60,000. The agreement is another 60,000. That means 120,000, but that is for the year. So if somebody is being paid 70,000, and by the time you take out 70,000, you multiply that without the transportation, without the food, and we're talking about this individual is just he doesn't have a wife, he doesn't have a children, but that is still not enough to cover the cost of living and working and making sure they can become the future that we have been told that there is a future in Nigeria. And that is part of the argument this morning. I've been following some of the news in Nigeria, and many Nigerians this time are asking, what is the future for us? But the presidency say there is still hope.
Well, the president says there is still hope. Shama, you are there, me. Good morning to you as well. We hope you are doing very well. And to every one of you listening to us on this morning's morning show, the various sister platforms, the Yoruba Nation platform, and the Koikimedia platform, and all the sister platforms, we will salute each and every one of you.
We have the many Biafra that are locked in because we've been transmitting the convention in Finland, and we've told them that they have to bear with us. Switching to Star Radio is very, very unique. It's very important. And as many of them are watching the screen in Finland, but they are listening to you, in London here.
Oh, let me say good morning to all of you in Finland. I don't know whether it's afternoon there, but
well, it is actually afternoon. They're 2 hours ahead of us.
Yeah. Good morning to every one of you in that convention there. We'll try to see whether Yomi can get some information from you, and then we're going to share. But we're going to be coming to that in a moment. But quickly, now Yomi says seems to be spending 600 million naira on 3 generators. That's buying things. Is it for palliative? Is it for the government? The government's, or let me go, the government's administrative work that they are doing, or for the workers there? What is that money for?
Well, you might want to ask, why the vice president have not lived in the new apartment that has cost over billions of naira after the renovation. According to report and evidence, the vice president has not even moved to that new apartment. That shows, the amount of wastage in government. And even if you look at the new administration coming up in the Trump, they are going to be cutting down on spending to the governance. But when we look at Yobe State again, what is Yobe producing? What is the the input of Yobe to the state itself? But again, every governor will tell you that they have to keep the function of the state going, and that means that Yobe State in the third quarter of this year, and this is posted on the government website, and according to the document, spent 600 million to use to buy a 500 kV Meccano generator for the government house in Damarutu. That means because there's no electricity and they need to supply power to the governor to sleep in the air condition. One 800 kV parking generator for maternal and child center. Again, very important, that we have, hospital running on not generator, but again, the situation in Nigeria, demands for that. And there's another one that was also spent to 500 kV Caterpillar generator to a specialist hospital. So the amount spent on each generator was not included, but the total for the three was capped at 600 million naira. The state government that is led by Mai Mala Buni also brought stove, cooking gas, for almost 1.1 billion naira for distribution to the public to reduce pressure on the fragile ecosystem, deforestation, and emission. Remember that some of these states, many people are still using, the wooding to cook and all that. So it looks like the governor is trying to take them out of that picture. How long that can happen? Again, it's good that you supply them the first one. Would there be a continuity, or would they just abandon the gas cooking and go back to the same, old method of, preparing their meals and whatever they need to do in that part of the world?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Star Radio OLAYOMI KOIKI in our Long London studios. I'm actually here in the South Studios, and we are bringing.
And just to add, it is one of the states that has, encountered, many times attack from the, the Fulani terrorists. In September this year alone, the terrorists killed over 100 people in the Mafa village. The terrorists reportedly invaded the community, riding over 50 motorcycles. The victims were a few days after the incident buried at the Babangida headquarters of Tamuro local government in Yobe State. So the question again is, the terrorists moving in large amount of motorcade and not being stopped tells you that the federal government have lost the insecurity in the country.
Well, is the federal government doing enough? The new military chief, is it doing enough at all? Or what do you think about all that? Star Radio UK. Now let's move on. We'll come to the event happening in Finland in a moment, but let's touch on some of these issues and then we'll come to that. Now, it is better to have 774 thieves than one big thief. Now that's what Oshimole is saying. Now he's supporting local government in front of them. Now, what exactly is happening? Do we want people, because we keep talking about the minimum wage, and we're looking at it and we see that it's inadequate for individuals living in the States. So the only way that you can actually survive or live a bit better is either you find ways and means, as some people say. But this is a case where one of them, one who has been in the helm of power before, is saying that, you know what, it's better to have lots of thieves, or maybe everybody in the state being a thief than having one person stealing. Yomi, tell us more.
Well, for a very long time, since we returned back to, the democracy in 1999, governors have taken advantage of the local government. They've turned the local government to their, purse, where they can decide what happened, who becomes the chairman, and how the money coming from the federal goes through the state, and the state decide, who to give the money to and who not to give the money to. So Oshiomhole is not new. He was one time, the also in the NLC until he became the governor, and then from there, he was the minister under Buhari, and currently is back as a senator, at this particular government that is going on right now. But the headline that we need 774 thieves, the question is, do we really need thieves to manage us? Why do we use that phrase? Is because Oshiomhole knows that there are many thieves in Nigeria, and they are bigger thieves. Because yesterday, before we go back to Oshiomhole, the news trending has gave many Nigerians again that this country, something needs to be done, and it needs to be done as quickly as possible, because the EFCC released information of one individual, even though the individual name is still an allegation, is already circulating, but I'll be telling you what the EFCC said, yesterday. About 755 duplexes has been pinned to one individual. This is one of the largest recovery, and I'm going by the EFCC says EFCC makes a single largest asset recovery till date. According to Justice Jude, on Monday, December 2nd, gave a ruling on a final forfeiture of an estate in Abuja measuring 150,500 square meters, containing 753 units of duplexes and other apartments. This is the single largest asset recovery by the Economic Financial Crimes Commission since its inception in 2003. The estate rests on the plot of 109 Cadastral Zone CO9 Lugogoma District in Abuja. But already like I say, the news that is coming out right now is pinning the former CBN governor, Emefiele, to own this property. So going back to what the former Edo State governor and the Nigerian lawmaker, Senator Adams Oshiomhole, representing Edo North Central, that is expressing strong support for the financial autonomy of the local government in the country, that it will be better for 774 to steal that kind of duplexes than for one person to steal it. And that's exactly what it says. Speaking at a forum on the local government autonomy that was organized by the House of Representatives yesterday, the senator emphasized the importance of character in governance accountability. Oshiomhole is also a former governor of Edo State, highlighted the significant responsibility of the local government chairman, given their proximity to the people, and advised them to allocate resources wisely so that we don't end up having more local government chairmen buying houses here in UK, in America, and Canada.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Star Radio UK, your favorite African encouraging radio station in London. Pastor Momo, good morning to you there as well. Now, let's now come to the Biafran issue that is going on. We know that almost about 2 weeks ago, someone was arrested. Was allegedly arrested by the Finland authority because they were saying all those, whatever charges they were trying to level against him. And I know the other tones have been because of the Nigerian government trying to push the agenda to shush him. And now we don't know. There were during the course of the week we had information coming in that he's been released, and so there have been threats. that thing going on where people are not sure exactly what is happening. And then there was the declaration. Though someone ever wasn't there, there was a declaration that took place. But again, then we have some, what do you call him, Imam Powerful, who's in the southeast down there. He was also saying, no, there shouldn't be any. So there seems to be lots of things going on where we don't know exactly what is happening. Now, this morning, we have the case that is being heard in Finland. That is somewhere else. Can you tell us more about everything that has gone on from that time to today? Please.
Well, the situation, started erupting. Let's go back to the timeline. The last update from the PM Simon Ekpa on his X handle was November 18. And a lot of people rely on him to post so that they can know the development, especially as the countdown was getting closer to the restoration. It's actually a restoration because according to the Biafra government in exile, Biafra was actually declared in 1967. So what they are doing is what they call the restoration, and I'm just listening, to the event happening in Finland where the COS is speaking. We will get more, signal from there later on. But in terms of what happened, I was at home on Thursday, and then I got a call, from one of the Yoruba, campaigner that Simon Ekpa has been arrested. And because I have access to him, the first thing I did was I put a call straight to his number, and I couldn't get through to that line. Right there, I wasn't sure what is happening. And what I saw on the social media was everybody saying that Simon Ekpa has been arrested. And that means that, we have to now rely only on the right source. Many people do not rely on the right source. The right source is to then go back to the government in exile to give us development and update of what is happening, with the PM as the countdown to the event going on right now. Today is the 5th day, right in Finland. And that means that we have to rely on the Chief of Staff, Ngozi Orebuze, which was the only person that would have given us a clarity. Because remember that many Nigerian media are biased against the Biafra. Remember that they've called the Biafrans terrorists, even though we do not agree with that because the world does not call Biafra a terrorist organization. Then what happened was that when the development was unfolding, there was a lot of different narrative. We saw the Nigerian military came out and said, look, Simon Ekpa is on the flight making his way back to Nigeria. Well, what they do not understand is that, this is not a kidnap case like Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya. So there was no way Simon Ekpa, even quote and unquote, if he was arrested, not to have just been put on the flight and come back to Nigeria. So what was being said in Nigeria was what the media was pushing out. Now, I listened carefully to the Chief of Staff. What the Chief of Staff said was that Simon Ekpa was invited by the Finnish government because already in, I think about 2 years ago, there was a kind of allegation leveled against him. Remember that it was picked up, it was released. Maybe that is the continuity of that allegation. But there are some individuals in Finland working on behalf of the Nigerian government, according to the COS, Ngozi Orebuze, that said that these were the individuals that pushed, more to make sure that Simon was invited. So I will not use the word Simon was arrested because inviting someone for questioning, and the question was, what was he invited for? As we speak today, nobody has a picture of Simon Ekpa in the court claiming that he's not the prime minister. There's no any information coming from the court in terms of whether somebody was sitting in the court when Simon was saying, I am a content creator. But you can see the media in Nigeria that doesn't like the Biafra in the first place started pushing out all the narrative that says Simon Ekpa says he's a content creator, he's not a member of the IPOP. But what I have listened from the COS and the government in exile is he is currently still with the Finnish government because, as we saw today in Finland, in the cold weather, they are out there, making sure that they can continue to put their case, in terms of why, their PM was held there. So from the information, Simon Ekpa is still in Finland. And even if the federal government wanted to bring him back, the Finnish government and Nigeria do not have extradited treaty. And that literally means that there is nothing that can take him back right now. Yes, the government can label everything against him that the killings in the southeast, but there is a lot of evidence that most of the killings in the southeast, as the government is saying, another journalist, Dr. Kemi Lawyer, came out about a couple of days and days saying that there's a genocide agenda that she has been talking about for the last 4 years. But in the right summary, no one, as we speak right now, have any audio, picture, or evidence that Simon Ekpa says he was a content creator or is not even the prime minister that he claimed to be. But the question is, we have the world where AI and the Nigerian government propagating as many disinformation out there. And this is why we need to rewrite, information so that people can learn as to know what is said. Like I said, no picture, no audio, no video where Simon said most of what they said he said. I'm going to come back to you in the studio. Then we're going to be talking about that shocker that many people thought the restoration was going to happen yesterday. It actually happened on the 29th.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, you want facts, you want the truth, then you have to be on Star Radio UK, Koikimedia, Yoruba, and any of the platforms that are affiliated to Star Radio UK, because we want to make sure we bring you authentic things. Let me say good morning to Aziz. Aziz is saying that, the rest of the team, the United States of Biafra have declared, so it is time for Yoruba people to wake up and make a move. Now, let's come to the declaration and its impact. Now, was there a sit-down strike yesterday still in the southeast?
Well, let's go back to the timeline. Simon was invited on Thursday. Friday, the following Monday, there was a sit-at-home. But it is not about the sit-at-home. Something happened the following day after Simon was invited. There was another massive killing in Enugu State by the Fulani terrorists. Does that mean that, as Simon was out of the picture, there was this push of more killings going straight into Enugu State, which is exactly what we saw when, farmers, and, the pictures is, they're too glory, we can't show them. But as farmers were, trying to get their crops, they were being massacred again on the ground. So we've got 2 Mondays already. The week where Simon, was invited, people were sitting at home. And this Monday, people were still sitting at home as well. And like I said, on the first day of the convention, I've looked at the numbers that have been given on the screen. I've been following the event. 517 delegates flew from all over the world. Is currently in Finland. The airport has been busy, and the activities have been very, very, massive. It's been like, a whole day event. They're currently back from the outdoor protest that took place today. They are currently back. I can see that on the screen right here in front of me. But on the 29th, when the convention started, everybody was shocked when that declaration was announced. The restoration and the declaration of the Biafra. Because what we were told that Simon kept saying was it was going to happen on the 2nd of December. Could it be that the back team, that is behind, the media, the executive, the de facto government, the home government were aware that nothing was going to happen on December 2nd? Was it after Simon was invited, there was a change of plan? Maybe there will be nothing that would happen. Maybe they were going to shut down the venue, and they had to bring back their activities, backwards, so that they can be able to make sure that restoration, that declaration that led to over 517 delegates traveling from around the world would take place, because we know how these things work, because nobody expected that Finland would pull Simon out of the picture. But again, if Simon has been invited for terrorism charges, for whatever crime, that is normal around the world. It's not the first time. But what the Biafra government is saying is, this is now a government. The federal government should call to bring all their folders and come and defend, their case with Simon in Finland.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's start already, okay? On this Tuesday edition of the morning show, we will try our best to see whether during the course of the week or that we will try to get a representative, maybe Ngozi, the chief of staff, or any of them in the helm, so that we can have their own word here on the platform as well for you to know exactly what is happening there. Now, what has been the reaction from the federal government with all this declaration and everything that seems to be going on, the arrest and this thinking that there's going to be an extradition, which they know what that treaty with the Finnish government, therefore we know for sure it wouldn't happen. And then we know they cannot go and rendition him from there, and they just could not bring him to Nigeria as well. So what has been the reaction of the federal government?
Well, the federal government have been very quiet. What the federal government is more excited, and this is coming from the military, especially remember that the military has continuously says that they need Simon Ekpa to be brought back, to all the crime that is happening in the southeast. They're putting everything on Simon Ekpa. So in terms of the government media, I haven't seen any report out there. I'm sure they're probably monitoring the situation, but they haven't said much. As Simon Ekpa situation was happening, the president was also out in France, where more red carpet was rose. I can tell you right now, in the picture right now, President Tinubu has been received by the host President Ramaphosa for the 11th session of the Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission, and President Tinubu is also pushing that Nigeria should be recognized as a BRIC nation. Remember that Nigeria submitted an application, but that hasn't gone through yet. So he's using this opportunity to see how they can leverage on that. But in terms of the situation with the restoration and declaration, just as the letter was delivered in number 10 Downing Street, you can imagine the amount of discussion going on in Nigeria right now around the Biafra declaration, and which means that what is going to be the next move? More flags are propping up from the Biafra state. They have about 40 states. I've seen also, it shows that the military are also monitoring the situation. They went to a particular area and removed the flag. So you can now see that it's about cat and mouse. But I can tell you, more flags are coming up. But whether the Nigerian government will go hard on them as at the time where there will be push, because we don't know when the push is going to happen, but it looks like there is so much still on the table that the Biafra are talking about. And let me give us, what is happening right there, right now. Let's just listen just for a few minutes, and we'll come back again to the studio. This is live from Finland.
This Constitution of the United States of Biafra, we do acknowledge and affirm the changes, and I'm just going to go ahead and read the final portion of that. The Constitution of the United States of Biafra.
And that is the Chief of Staff, Ngozi Orebeze, speaking from Finland.
Charter of the Confederate State. Remember, last year we were Helsinki. We developed a couple of charters that led to this area. Also known as the Biafra Helsinki Declaration in Finland, and herein referred to as Biafra Charter, unanimously adopted as a prelude act by the Biafra Republic government in exile and the Biafra de facto government in homeland.
I'll leave that. I'll come back again to you in the studio. Like I said, it's quite a lot of development happening. Reaction is going around the world. And many of the guests that have come in are speaking, but the Nigerians are also asking, what is the way out now? As I'll be telling you, another letter has landed with the British Parliament from the Yoruba as well this morning.
Wow, listen, let's start already. Now, a quick one before we leave the Biafra story. Now, are they still requesting the release of Nnamdi Kanu? And then the question was, the foreign secretary, is it the foreign secretary in Nigeria, Ojukwu, the wife of the former Biafran leader, Ojukwu, is saying that she's going to do everything in her power for the federal government or the president to release Nnamdi Kanu. Do you think anything of the sort? What exactly is happening there, if you have any information to get into that?
Well, you're right. There is still a lot of pressure, for the president to release Nnamdi Kanu. And maybe that would slow down the situation. But we don't know what President Tinubu has in mind, when he's going to do that or not. And you're quite right, releasing Nnamdi Kanu to address Southeast crisis. These are the Igbo groups, just about a few hours. This was yesterday. The Indigbo Unity Forum, NUF, has called on President Bola Tinubu to release the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, to address unrest in the southeast region. The group said Kanu's detention has contributed to the ongoing disruptions, including the Monday sit-at-home protest which has adversely affected the region's economy and education. I mean, let's be honest, Mr. Archie, the Monday means that schools has to be shut down. I mean, some of the schools have to move to weekend, and that tells you that, and this has been going on for over 2 years now. This statement was put together by President Augustine Chukwumudon and the Secretary General Tony Igbokwe highlighted the significant and financial losses and the most important, the academic setback. Universities are closed, technical schools are closed, and the people are saying that they are doing this not because of Simon Ekpa, they are doing it because you can't hold Nnamdi Kanu and expect us to be out opening or doing anything on a Monday morning.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Star Radio UK, what do you think about that? Now let's go to the Yoruba Nation before I hand over to Yomi to bring you the rest of the story. So what was this letter that was presented to Parliament?
Well, yesterday, as usual, I mean, I got the communique, about a few days, but it's already in circulation, going across different, news network this morning. As remember that it's coming up to 2 months now. In another 9 days, it will be 2 months that the letter that the Yoruba sent to the Prime Minister Keir Starmer when Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho came here for the dinner. And just as we had a big, massive rally, and then the letter was delivered to number 10 Downing Street. I can also confirm that that letter is now being looked into by the palace, from my own, intelligence and information that has come to me. But the outcome of that letter is not yet over because the content is what people don't know. Many people are asking, what is the content? What has Baba Akintoye wrote in that letter that led the Minister for Foreign, the Minister for Information, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, calling the Ambassador Dr. Richard Montegori to question. Well, maybe they might have to call him again because another group have put out a letter and it says Yoruba Nation Movement right to the UK Parliament want legislator to support fully independent Yoruba country. Some people say it's a waste of time, but when you're talking about diplomacy might be wasting of time to some, but it is the part of asking for your right to self-determination. I'll just give you a bit of the content of the letter. The group which was appellate with the foreign secretary visit to Nigeria. Remember that David Lamy was in Nigeria telling us that Nigeria will be a better place in the next 50 years by 2075. Many Yoruba people were really angry and upset about that. But this Yoruba Nation agitator under the Yoruba Nation Youth United Kingdom Charter has written to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Rector Honorable Sir Lindsay Holy MP, seeking support from the United Kingdom on the Yoruba people quest in Nigeria for self-determination.
Well, we talk about the amalgamation and everything that has gone on. We talk about the fact that the agreement had expired already. We thought that there should be a renegotiation. Government said no. Well, we have now uprising all sorts across the country. We have people who think that they are being marginalized. Yet, government is saying, we are here for you. And what are they doing? Do we get referendum for calling out on all this? Or what? Government is going to entrench themselves and say, we're going to do whatever we want. Let's hear from you. We would love to know your comment there. But in this radio, we'll go to Yomi for the rest of the stories making the rounds and then what is happening on social media this morning. Over to you, Yomi.
Well, we're going to start on a sad note. I can confirm the news report coming to our wire that Sylvester Oromoni mother has passed away. Well, who is Sylvester Oromoni? Well, let's take you back to this was a tragic death of a 12-year-old Nigerian boy that was bullied in the school. The death of this boy happened in Lagos, Nigeria, the commercial capital city, which was generating a lot of reaction as at the time. Sylvester Oromoni Jr., a junior secondary school, GSS 2, student of Darwin College, Lagos, Southwest Nigeria, died under controversial circumstances. The school authority claims Sylvester sustained injury while playing football, but his family says he was instead tortured by the schools and bullied. Well, like I said, the news is coming out that the mother passed on this morning. I can tell that, when this situation happened, it would be difficult for a parent like that to be able to sustain a very long time, especially if they're not well managed, the BP and all that. We can only pray for the loss of the mother. So that will take us to the reaction of many Nigerians this morning. She passed away on November 25th, 2024, due to complication from prolonged grief and trauma over her son's ultimate death 3 years ago in 2021. It is a heartbreaking situation. Well, someone was saying that she did not just die now. She died about last month, but we are just getting the news on our timeline this morning. Very sad news. The love of her mother is so strong. She couldn't get over the shock of the demise of her son. May her soul rest in peace. So you can tell that bully is not just only here in the UK, it's also back as well in Nigeria. So because of our time this morning spent already, we just touched on the tax reform. This is generating a lot of conversation. Maybe we're going to have more time before the end of the week to start looking into it, because the Northerners believe that Tinubu is playing the game, to make sure that money doesn't come to them. Well, Tinubu said, look, we can't continue with the same way we have been doing things. We need to reform the tax. But some say that, look, don't do the way you did in Lagos State, where, Alpha Beta is owned by you and every revenue is coming through there and you're taking your own commission. Well, I listened to, some of the committee yesterday. He says, no, Alpha Beta is not going to be in charge. But Peter Obi is speaking as well this morning. Tax reform, don't rush. Allow public debate. Peter Obi is advising the federal government. The bills have continued to generate controversies since their introduction, with particularly the northern governors calling for their withdrawal. The politician and the former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, is advising Bola Tinubu administration to involve citizens in the national debate before the tax reform bills are finally passed. But I can tell you that this is generating a lot of conversation on the social media, because a lot of people are not comfortable, most from the northern part of the Nigeria. Even some of their governors have been coming out to say that they are not going to be interested in this reform. Whether this will now pass through the Senate, where the Northerners have more majority, is something to look into. Now, let's look at what the government is talking about. Know the truth about the tax reform. And I'm looking at what the government is saying this morning. Change to the income tax laws to facilitate remote work opportunities for Nigerians in Nigeria within the global business process. I'll just take one more. Zero rate VAT, tax exemption for small businesses. Let's look at the reaction, and that will bring me back to you in the studio. Excessive tax will only suffocate industry, businesses. By extension, it will kill the economy, because industry and businesses are backbone of the economy. This is coming from Masoon at Masoon on the Twitter space or the X. Well, this individual says, CIA agent, may Nigeria succeed, with a picture of Tinubu there. You can tell that these are lovers of the APC. One person in Nigeria, you say, you need to use AI to read out what you have written. We have no time to be reading these 5 fonts, or better still, let your staff read it out as a news. You can tell that even in the midst of everything, you can never finish with Nigeria. And again, there's a particular company that left Nigeria after so many years. I'm trying to see if I can bring that in. Not too sure whether it's because of the tax reform. Swiss company, Olysane, exit Nigeria after 65 years, says focusing on the high growth region alone.
Now, it's interesting when we have companies, old companies leaving the country, and you ask yourself, is it because local entities have risen up to occupy that place, or because our economy is so bad that the people think that the best way forward is just to pack and leave? What do you think about all that? But when it comes to the tax reform, let me ask you something there quickly, then we go. Now, how does government send money or proportion money for the various states? Now, is it they look at what they are contributing to the national? You take the southwest, you take the southeast, and they are the ones contributing. Let me put it that way. Majority of the monies that is coming from the resources there. Then we have the middle where they were supposed to be, in the north where they were supposed to be farming and stuff like that was going on. But now we don't have anything of the sort. So how did they are proposing monies to the
Well, some of the states that bring in more will definitely take more. Some of the states that have, the resources would also, be given extra as well. I'm looking at the one AGMA note that is being talked about in Finland. So when we're talking about money, we're still also looking at. But according to, Honorable Abdul Mumini Jubrin, in the history of Nigeria, there's never been a law that will benefit the poor people like the tax reform bill. Bears it all on the tax reform bill. So, many Nigerians are really focused on this. Again, Taiwo Oyedele says some of the key facts about Nigeria tax reform bills, but those that are really against it are the people from the northern part of the country. The listed benefits of the tax reform bill sound appealing. Individuals earning less than 1 million annually exempted from the paying the tax. Essential items like rent, food, and medicine are set at zero VAT. So why are some elders so strongly opposing this bill?
Well, listeners, we have to let Yomi go because we are still monitoring what is happening in Finland as well. So Yomi, before you leave.
Well, before I leave again, we just get one more under a minute say how it's happening in Finland, and then we bring it to a closure.
On the back of, again, in the front of our Biafra notes, you are going to see the signature of the Treasurer of the United States of Biafra and the Secretary to the Treasury. You're also going to see the numbers written on the left upper
So
right
that
side.
tells you that the day 5 is still ongoing in Finland in Lati, but as the PM is not there, the COS says even if I am arrested, there is still many people that will take charge. And on that note, make sure you stay tuned with Star Radio UK. I'll be back again tomorrow, where we'll be looking more into this tax reform. Who is it going to help? And even if Tinubu reform the tax reform and get away with it, will the next government take it down, as we saw Joe Biden pardoning the son? Maybe when Trump comes in, he might also pardon everyone that was involved in that event that took place in Washington, D.C.
Well, of course, we know what is going to happen there. Yomi, very much, and have a lovely day.
Thank you so much, Mr. Archie. Bye for now.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that has been Mr. OLAYOMI KOIKI from an London Cities, bringing you all the update that you need to know. Tomorrow, God willing, we'll bring you some of the excerpts of the happenings at the...
All right, we're going to end this. Everybody needs to join the full broadcast back. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI. We go back to Finland, where it's all happening. Sorry for the slight delay there, but we have to go back to Finland. Thank you, Baba Miss Sono, for the super chat. Thank you so much. Bye for now.